Rolling on this one.
Let's go live.
Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Well, and welcome back to the Dental Guys live streaming from the American Academy of Fixed Prosthodontics meeting. I'm Wes, the Dental Guy.
I'm John, the Dental Guy.
And it's a good meeting whenever you meet high-level people. And one of the people that we've recently met was Dr. Miguel Ortiz. I hope I didn't butcher the name.
You had to say Ortiz with a
Like
Ortiz,
you
with
know,
passion.
you know.
with passion, right?
There you
Right?
Gotcha.
That's all
So-
we need energy.
That's awesome.
They're like,
Microphone.
we've done 25 interviews today, and you asking me to have passion at 3 o'clock.
Right.
They're like,
I think
come
you
at
got
8
it.
o'clock, Miguel, and I'll give you passion, but not at
right.
3 p.m.
There you go. There you go. So we saw your book. I want to start there because you don't
This
see that book over there. That's the one
It's a dental book with a
with the provocative title
With a
Right.
provocative title. Don't
and a
set it on
provocative
fire.
right. And not the typical. I mean, there's no tooth on the front of that I see.
We
So-
have right behind here
Mm-hmm.
Bill Harmon.
Yes.
He's right there.
Yes.
He's the editor from Quintessence. And he can tell you how much I had to fight for that.
Oh.
He can tell you how much I had to fight for naming it something not dental.
Mm-hmm.
He can tell you how much I had to fight him to do something in the cover that has nothing to do with a tooth. And the biggest one was when I said I want a landscape. He's like, that's a coffee table book. And I'm like, I don't care what it is. I
Yeah.
want it like that. And now he comes to me and he said, Miguel, you have a book that does not talk about teeth and is the #1 selling book in North America,
Wow.
dental book.
Wow.
And I said, well, I had a hunch.
Yeah.
You know,
That's
and
awesome.
And I put my heart into it, and people liked it. And
Yeah.
I'm very happy about
So
it.
you've been involved in professional photography for a long time, right? Kind of give us maybe the condensed version of what made you passionate initially about
How
photography.
the hell did I get here?
Yeah,
Right?
I mean, let's talk about
the,
that.
The history goes something like that. I'm from Argentina. I came to the U.S. about 20 years ago, and I landed in Los Angeles. And I became a dental technician. I worked in a lab for about 10 years. At the same time, I always like to take photos and videos. I used to do videos, actually. I used to edit, so I have to say, you're going to have some work ahead of you.
Yeah.
The problem with videography, especially when you're poor, and talking about in the 2000s and 2010s, was that when you figure out how to do something cool, then the new next gadget came around and people kind of do a different shot, and then you're always like chasing this cool shot, these cool editing techniques, and I could never reach it. Like once I mastered the green screen, it was not cool to do green screen anymore. Once I mastered, the slow moving on a rail, then everybody's doing it. So I always felt that me being poor, I couldn't keep up as just a hobby. And then I stumbled upon photography that, you can have a 1980s camera, and if you know the fundamentals, you're going to get good pictures out of it. And I was like, wow, this is it. You can really express things without having to worry about technology changing so quick that the next guy just buy the better camera, and now he's a better photographer than you, he or she. So, of course, technology helps you in many ways, but in photography, it's like pictures can be taken good with all cameras and just a little gear. And I did that as a hobby for a long time. Eventually, I came to Boston. I went to Harvard for dental school, and dental school and medical school are combined. And on the off time, they do all these shows. There's all these events that happen and to keep the students happy. So many of them were like a theater show or like a dance and things like that. And I became like the editor for cool clips for the school. And then different schools like the Harvard Business School and the Harvard School of Public Health, they're like, do you take pictures too? And so they started hiring me. I was a student, had no money, and I would like on the weekends just do just some gigs. I did a couple of weddings as well as a photographer, but it was always just get a couple bucks as I'm going to dental school and take some pictures. So self-taught. And then when I graduated, I decided I was going to be a prosthodontist. I came here to Chicago to be a prosthodontist. And that was the right time, so I started an Instagram account, and I was able to show, hopefully good dentistry, the lab side of it, the waxings, and I was good at waxing because I did that for 10 years, so it was kind of like cheating in a way. So I was able to, put a wax up and put a surgery and put a before and after. And that was early in Instagram when everything was growing, and I could do it in a photographic way that was pretty cool because I kind of knew photography, so like all the pieces came together. As my Instagram account grew and I started doing courses, teaching people about dentistry. I have a course on adhesive reconstructions and tooth preparation. I have a course in occlusion and dental materials. I have a course in impression techniques. And I told my wife, like, I think I want to write a book. And it took me about 2 years to write it. It came out of my dental photography class that I do. I did like 30 CDs last year. I think every class sold out all across North America and Central America and Europe as well. And what I wanted to do, as you said, like there's no teeth in the cover. There's not. This is a book about photography, and and there are thousands of books of photography out there. Not thousands, but there's tens of books about dental photography out there. But they're all kind of the same, which is it's a textbook, right? And they're just full of information. But what I realized by teaching my classes was when I wanted to learn photography, I could go online or go to Barnes & Nobles and pick a photography 101, and I would look through it and I'd be excited about it. But most dentists who want to learn photography, they don't even like photography. They don't even, they want you, and at the same time they don't want to learn. It's like they feel like they have to because times are changing and they need to implement it for the treatment planning or communication or social media. So I learned that I was teaching people who it's not like their hobby. So they don't like to go through a textbook on something that they already don't feel like they want to do. So what I wanted to do is to make it very visual and very easy to go through it. So make it, at least if you're learning something that you feel like you must learn, at least let's make the journey good. So I make probably the first very visual dental photography book from A to Z. Fundamentals of photography, equipment, portrait, intraoral protocol. I designed a simple intraoral protocol where you can take your whole intraoral protocol in a small clinic in 10 minutes with nice pictures, not just a ring flash, without moving you, your patient, or your light from one spot. So designed for a small clinic, 10 minutes in and out. And then I wrote a whole chapter for dental technicians as well, how they can take pictures in the laboratory, because I'm a technician myself. And then I wrote a whole chapter about social media and marketing for clinics. A little bit of that. And it was very well received. Like within a month of release, we released it here. We released it in Boston at the Quintessence meeting. And within a month, it was already on the top of the charts. And I'm just a dentist with a wife and 3 kids, and my wife was like, she's like, what? I'm like, yeah, this is nuts. It's insane. And then it's in German now, it's in Spanish now, it's going to be in Japanese soon. It just took a life of its own. And but I'm glad that people like it. And I think what people like about it is the fact that it's not, usually you just buy the book and that's it. People who buy my book, they actually follow me on Instagram and things like that. So I'm in contact with them all the time. So that they're reading the book, just, what do you mean here? Can you help me? And I've gotten so far as many times just like, let's go on FaceTime together, whoever you are in the part. Let me like, what's not working? Like, show me how you have your lights. And people really like the fact that it's not just the book. It's like, I'm there. And, they get you, reach out to me all the time. So it's been a nice journey.
Go to the clinical side of things a little bit about how photography really helps us work with our patients.
Well, there's different angles to it, right? There's the marketing angle that I think we're all tired of talking about. But photography is huge for showing the patient what they need to have done. I mean, if you have a private practice and you haven't figured out that you need to have a tiny intraoral camera to show the patient that amalgam that is broken and how the cast is going to grow, which is your bread and butter, if you're still trying to convince the patient through your words in and an x-ray, I mean, you have no idea how harder you're making things for you. Just snap a tiny picture of that and put it on the screen, and you don't have to say anything. The patient is like, so when am I coming back? Right. Like, you've done it, right?
Oh,
it's just like,
of course.
Whenever you experience that, but that's just the ugly intraoral picture. We're moving digitally. We're not even moving digital. We're digital already. And treatment plan is not tooth guided anymore. It's facially driven. And good photography and good videography is the basis to how we're going to create our treatment plan right now. It's, I'm a surgically trained prosthodontist, and in this city I was trained to look at the teeth, put in an articulator, look at your interferences, like, and plan all this all-pros kind of stuff. And the face was never discussed. And I understand right now that this is about the face. Give me the face. Where should I put the teeth based on this face? And of course, with occlusion and everything included. But you design it for it to look good. And for that, you need pictures, STL, CVCT. Once we decided for it to look good, you look back and you say, can I actually do this clinically?
Mm-hmm.
Well, no, you're going to have to do ortho to move the teeth in that position. Okay. Well, no, you're going to have to do crown lengthening to achieve that. Okay. Well, no, you might have to have the palate expanded. Well, no, you're going to. Okay, that's a different story. Then we step back from it.
Mm-hmm.
But the way I was taught to do pros is like you look at the teeth, you look at the occlusion, you look at the signs, you read the mouth, you design your whole wax and make sure you have no interference, make sure your occlusion is however you want to design it, make sure all this, face never there. Oh, by the way, if you can make it look good, make it look good.
Right.
I think that's the wrong way that they've been doing it for about 100 years. And photography allows you to now layer STL photography, CBCT, and say, let's make it look beautiful for the patient. And then we say, can we dentally get there?
Right.
And what do we need to? And then if you say you need ortho and the patient says no, okay, now we take a step back. You say, well, you need to, extract this and well, we don't. Well. But you start taking back. You don't try to aim to it. And I think photography for that is very important.
Yeah, I think it's what, Wes and I have gone through all the, for a lot of the restorative or general dentists, things like spear education, are kind of one of those areas that have taken, everybody wants a system to treat patients. And when you go out to spear, the very first thing you learn is that, as you're saying, it's all based on the face. Yep. And photography is basically step number one for everything you do. And as you said, it's not first focusing on the teeth, it's focusing where do the teeth need to go, where is it going to look the way it needs to look, and then that drives the decision making, and then you decide whether you can accomplish it or whether the patient can afford to accomplish it or whatever it is. So when you have somebody that understands that, the next thing that they look for is what, because we're such gear-oriented people as dentists, right? We're often saying we're product-oriented, gear-oriented, because we were often that mindset. So then we want to know what to buy. We want to know, and there are companies out there, right, that will sell you whatever you want to buy, of course, and they'll set you up with those things. But the training to actually know how to use that equipment is, those companies often don't really provide that. You'll go to a meeting and they'll say, "Oh yeah, this is what you need."
I know exactly what you're talking about. One of the highlights of my course when I do the photography courses, it is a it's the most hands-on photography course that is out there. It's a one-day course that I go from the fundamentals of photography all the way down. People end up taking the most beautiful pictures they ever took in their life. And by the time we get to 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I should step back in the room. I usually do that. And I can see them just like taking pictures and laughing and getting all this, beautifully glossy teeth, which is not the point of it, but they got there by learning the fundamentals of photography and applying different techniques using lighting. And one of the moments that I always like about my course is when I speak about which is the best camera for dental photography and which is the best lens. And everybody in the room who came here saying, I don't know this, I want to learn it, have a very strong opinion about it.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to get into now which way I tell them to go. But it's very interesting to see every dentist having a very strong opinion, and it just happens to be that it's a very strong opinion about the setup that they happen to own, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And you start listening to all this justification for those choices, right? Like, so why do you have a Canon and a 100mm lens? Why do you have a Nikon and an 85? Why do you have a Nikon and a 105? And everybody will, they start arguing on each other. No, because, and then I let them do that, and then I've gotten really good at doing this because I do it like every weekend, so I dig a little bit later, and by the end, they all realize you had that set up because somebody told you to.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And that person who told you to, guess what? Got that set up because somebody told them to. And that goes back who knows how far. And right now you're doing the same. So then I turned around and I said, let's scientifically look at what is in everybody's table and understand that we need this tool to work in very peculiar situation. In a dental office inside the mouth. That's a very peculiar situation. It has its constraints. So not all tools are done the same. And let me show you which tool you should be buying. And yes, I'm going to come out with a brand. And yes, I'm going to come out with a lens. And yes, but I'm not coming out with that brand and lens because they're paying me to do so. I'm telling you, this is the tool for the job that we need to do. Now, you were talking about wedding photography. Let's have that discussion again, and we might arrive at a different conclusion.
Yep.
And that's one of the parts that people really like, that I said, like, you have the wrong camera and the wrong lens. You have the right camera and the right lens. Doesn't mean you have to buy a new camera and a new lens, but I can tell you that every single intraoral protocol that you're doing, you're struggling through, right? It's like having the wrong bird to prep a tooth. You'll get used to it. You'll adjust yourself if you want to prep a whole tooth with a football burr. You'll do it. But let me give you the right burr, and you'll see, oh, man, this was so much easier. So, yes, we were uninformed, and we still are as dentists. We don't have the time. Not everybody likes photography. But it's been a trip. And photography opened the door for me to really explore all the areas of teaching as a prosthodontist and to all my followers. And that's how we led to a 2 days as history rehabilitation and tooth preparation course that it really took the United States for a storm. The
So what I like about what you're saying, you know, and we don't want to get too much in the high weeds on this, but we're going to be doing a presentation pretty shortly at a big meeting about social media and education. And that in some ways, you know, there's good and there's bad about social media and photography and showing before and after, because there can be the idea, and again, we don't want to get too far into this.
Oh, no, let's get deep into it.
I mean,
I would love to.
Because here's the thing, you know, there is this perception of sometimes that this is easy because we can show beautiful before and after, or there's the perception that everyone can do this. But what I like about what you're saying is that you're actually saying, okay, let me show you what's possible. But I have a course that actually shows you how to prep that tooth.
But you've got to leave your home.
It's not just taking pictures of the one case that you did that looked good and saying, here's what we do, as if that's...
Actually, yes and no. I see where you're going with it, but yes and no. So those of you who follow me really know what I'm going to be talking about. And those of you who don't follow me, you don't have to follow me, but do it. Because you're going to be in for a treat. And you're not going to be in for a Miguel Ortiz, let me show you how I do things treat. Okay? I started Instagram pretty early in the game, and my account ballooned pretty quickly. And how did it balloon? It ballooned with awesome photos of before and afters, awesome photos of my wax up, awesome photos, blah, blah, blah. That was pretty easy to grow at the beginning when everybody was joining Instagram and we were all following new people. When's the last time you massively followed 10 people in a week? We don't do that anymore. So I jumped in pretty early, 2015, 2016. Everybody was joining Instagram. So, oh, look at this guy. Cool pictures of his prep. Boom, 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 follow. So my account grew really quick. Took about a year and a half. I think I was somewhere around 70,000 followers when we were having a conversation with my wife and some friends about, remember the 1990s when models were really skinny in the magazines, and this whole controversy was about, you know, what is the kind of image that they are. I think it came out of the Dove commercials, and they're using different body images, and the industry is kind of better than what it used to be. It's many things that are not. But we were talking about magazines, and we were having that conversation among friends. And my wife said to me, right in front of my friend, she's like, that's not much different from what you're doing. And it caught me by surprise. I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, well, you're on Instagram. How is it different? Like, you put like a perfect before and after. How is that different for all the dentists that are watching? How do you think you're making them feel? Like, she's like, we all know that's not what you do every day. You always pick the best picture and put it out there. And she called me out on it. And it, you know, it took me go to bed and think about it. And it really bothered me. So I remember one day, there was about 6 months after that, we were in San Francisco, and it was like 6 or 7 of us who kind of had what you want to call it a big account. Okay, I'm just whatever, a lot of followers. And we were having dinner, and we were all talking about, you know, different people do different things and how cool it is and blah, blah. And we were bragging about it. And then I remember telling them, like, guys, I'm out. And they're like, what do you mean? Like, I'm going to change what I'm doing. I said, but you're the one leading the field. You're like, you have the biggest account right now. You're like, why would you change? I'm like, because don't think we're helping anybody. I started getting a lot of messages from students and recent graduates saying, like, I cannot do what you do. It's so frustrating. I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing wrong. Like, and I'm like, no, it's not. And I said, like, I'm turning off people, and I want to turn people on. I want to inspire people to be better than me, whatever my level is, not to feel like, oh, you know, like, of course, like, I cannot do that. So they said, so what are you going to do? I said, like, I'm not going to post as many before and afters. I'm gonna post failures, but I'm going to start to educate. And then I didn't put a lot of failures in it per se in the last 2 years, now that I look back. I do have a lot of posts that inside discussion. But I went completely onto education and discussion. And education and discussion without hate. Because we're talking about 2017, where all of us kind of coming out of Facebook. I had left Facebook somewhere around 2014 because of the hate. And I said, I think I can do it and without the hate. Because the most of them in that table were like, if you start putting discussions, you're going to get destroyed. Right? Like, you're going to get like comment, you're going to get destroyed. And I said, I'm gonna try. I'm going to try to weed out the haters. And I'm going to try to make sure that whoever is following me understand is like, you're here to contribute, you can stay. You don't like what I do, move on. Like, I don't need your like, I don't need your comment. And I started doing a series that is called Let's Talk Prost, which I try to use humor and videos and animations, and then I develop a topic, and it's all true stories. And by the end of that, you learn something new because I show you the dental, I show you the literature. So I develop, I trick you into, I discuss it, and then here's like, oh, you think you want it that way? You should look at all this
See,
data.
this is what we're talking about in our presentation, is that this is how we can leverage the part of social media. So just to condense real quick, what our thought is, you know, we take music, we're going to use music as kind of an example of, it used to be that in order to become famous in the music world, you had to put in a lot of time, and you had to become noticed, and you had to have a record label exec and figure out who you were, and only then maybe could you get on the radio. And there was good and bad about that. You know, you had to really be vetted. On one hand, that was good, but on the other hand, yeah, but there were people that never were noticed because of that, you know. And so nowadays it's very easy to get noticed, but there's a lot of noise. And so we look at the fact that if you take the positive about that people can put out content and do it right and push people in that right direction toward evidence-based dentistry and say, you know, yeah, this is a beautiful before and after, or this is a failure, whatever it is. But let's talk about how it's possible to do this.
I'm telling you, we're doing it. It took me about 2.5 years. The first year was tough because I will get the haters. Okay, this is true. We're talking about 2017 to 2018 when I started doing literature review, when I started doing funny things, when I started doing a series of you know, reading 20 papers and presenting you the big 5 of you. But not just like here are the papers. I will like make a story and try to get you entertaining with videos, with jokes in between, try to lead you this way, and then I surprise you that the answer is that way. You will get all these negative comments, negative things that have nothing to do with what I'm trying to show you. Perfect example. I do these stories in English and Spanish. So I have to actually go write a series of 40 stories. I have to, whatever I have to say, English and Spanish. At 6 in the morning so that you can get it at 7 when you go to work, okay? My spelling, can you imagine? Okay, plus the autocorrect coming back and forth. It took me about a year to call out every single person that the only thing that they will comment on is like, you misspelled that word. You misspelled that word.
Sure.
And what I will do is I will say screenshot and says like, really? Let's post you. Grammar police, here they are again. And I used to have to do that about 30 times a day. Right now, grammar police have disappeared.
Yeah.
Okay. And the same with you post something and you see like, that's completely wrong. Your occlusion sucks. I'm like, if you don't like it, please move on and please don't do this again. Either you contribute or you do it respectfully. And now we all understand. And then I will ask my followers, says like, put this person in check as well. Protect this.
Yeah.
Because it takes time to create this thing. And what I've seen in the last year is many large accounts trying to do the same. Trying to just not show before and after, but say, let's develop this topic. Let's talk about adhesion. Let's talk about rubber dam. Let me show you how I do this technique. And we have this, you know, niches community right now.
Well, that's very good.
I like it. I like the fact that it's taking something that you're passionate about, your career. You've put it in book form, you know, some of those things, but then it does come full circle, and this is exactly what we're talking about. If you're listening to this and you're interested in impacting people,
right?
It's more than just posting a before and after.
You don't help anybody.
You're not helping anybody with that. It's about
a couple times, but don't do it all.
Right.
That's right.
It's about engaging people
because it becomes more about you. And I'm not saying that it's all bad to show. We can be proud of our work. We can say, hey, look, I this is the first time I've accomplished this, or this just turned out beautifully. Nothing wrong with that. But as much of social media becomes, we start to understand when it's about the person, or when it's about trying to actually influence the world in a positive way.
That was too strong. Just don't do all before and after. If your goal is to get patients through the door,
Yes.
you're gonna have to do before and after.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
That's a
then-
different type of account.
And
Yeah.
then you and your pillow have to have a talk and see, because we, your peers, know what you're doing, and we, your
Right.
peers know if that's a good or bad treatment.
Exactly.
Hopefully you're doing good for people. Now you want to do that to attract counts, and there's people that have 500,000 followers, and all they show is their video before and after, and they're killing it. And I got nothing against that.
Yes.
But if you're talking to us peers,
Yep.
you're not helping anybody we're doing before and after. Some of us can read between the lines of there.
Yep.
But if you have a medium to large account, you have a lot of young dentists out there that are insecure, and they need our guidance to get a little bit better.
Mm-hmm.
And if all you're doing is saying, look at me, look at me, look at me, you might not be helping people, you might be hurting people.
Exactly. And I think it creates, unfortunately, an idea, like I said kind of at the beginning, that this is easy, or this is something that everyone should be able to accomplish. And our whole podcast from the beginning has been about the fact that, what we do is very hard. It's very hard, and it takes an incredible, if you're not reading, if you don't have a subscription to any journals, you're doing it wrong,
Right.
because it's hard. Like, you have to process through the tough information. You have to, like you said, the things we kind of hate. Well, you know what? We have to sit
You
there
have to do it.
with the master and listen and take it in, but that's a
degree on the
difficult thing
wall
to
counts for
sell.
responsibility.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
that's not an easy sell.
It's not.
And that's something that I think that social media right now struggles with. But I think I'm very encouraged to hear that you're seeing that.
No, we're killing it. But I'm not saying we're killing it. It's like, look at us, how good we're doing. We're killing it as a profession right now in social media, and Instagram became the place for it. And we're killing it as a group of thousands of dentists who each other just talk to each other and learn from each other and consult each other. And hopefully what I strive to do is, through using Dentlit to prove you or disprove you, and trying to lead people to look for the answers in the science. You have no idea how many times I get messages saying, Miguel, but what is your opinion in this? It doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
My opinion doesn't matter. I'm too young. All my cases are success right now.
That's right.
Right.
Okay,
That's
like
right.
I'm a
Right.
very successful dentist. Trust me.
Yep.
Right.
But I wish
You
I
haven't
had-
moved yet.
Yeah, I haven't moved yet, and you can ask me about my opinion maybe in 10 years.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And even though you should take it with a humongous grain of salt.
Right.
Okay.
And we talk about that even in the literature, unless something's been out for 5 years, 10-year follow-up, even then we have to be careful, even interpreting literature that's only a year old or a few cases old. And that's something that, again, I feel like that all comes back to something has happened in maybe our culture of like the scientific method, kind of being lost in some ways, that the idea that this is how we should interpret information, and it's okay to have to deal with the harder things, and that opinion is important, but it's not there's some things that all we have is opinion. But there's other things we have evidence, and we should be trying to seek after that.
We have a big problem as dentists, and it may have happened to you or not. I know it happens to me all the time. That when a colleague asks you a clinical question, just a casual coffee conversation, you always feel like you have to have an answer.
Right.
So what bonding system is better for you? And then immediately you're like, well, I use this.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
you feel like you have to, instead of saying, I've been struggling to,
Yeah.
I tried a couple, or the classic one that struck me like maybe 2 years ago. I get about somewhere around 800 to 1,500 messages on Instagram a day, and I reply to them all. I'm not even making this
It's a
up.
lot.
I reply
It's
to
a
them
lot.
all. So it got to a point when I got to 300-400 a day that I truly started thinking, like, how the hell do I answer all these questions? Because I always felt like I had to have an answer. And it dawned on me, the very silly thing, that sometimes I don't have the answer. And I have the responsibility to know the answer for my patient, but not for that person that is asking right there, right now. And one of the most freeing things that ever happened to me is to learn to say, I don't know. That's another thing that I need to look up. Let me just write that down on
Yeah.
my notes on my phone. Like,
Yeah.
should I etch before or after? You're right. If I etch 2 times and then I rinse and then I etch and then I use Gluma and then Chlorhexidine. I don't know, man. Hopefully I can get back to you at some point.
Right.
And that was so freeing. And now I'm helping him not to get whatever my made-up opinion of it was going to be.
Well, you're creating collaboration, and that's what it's about. It's more than just showing what you can do,
Right.
but it's showing how to do it and help people. You've said this several times. You're leading people to discover how they're right or how they're wrong, but you're leading them in the right way where it's a process of discovery.
Right.
And that's dentistry, is discovering things along a way, not to prove others wrong, but to help build a community around what's best for the patient. Now, let me ask you this.
Let me tell you this one, and hold that question, don't forget about it. On that line, when I do the Let's Talk Pro series about twice a week, and I've been doing it for about a year and a half or maybe 2 years now, all those papers that I researched and I think they're worth sharing, I actually put them on my website. So if anybody want to go to dentally.com, and don't buy anything, I'm not trying to sell you anything. For free, you go to online courses and you go to the Let's Talk Pro series. You should sign up, and you will have every single topic that I ever talked about, and you will have the links to every single paper. I try to put as many free papers as I can, but I at least put the links to the PubMed, even though if it's a paywall thing. So I always, and I usually do it about a day later whenever I get to it. Right now we have almost 100 topics. I think it was a 97. I'm keeping out because I want to celebrate the 100. But it takes me about 8 to 15 hours to develop a topic and go through the literature and read it and then put it up to you so that you can be on your toilet at 7 a.m. in the morning flipping through it. But not only that, you can go there and get those links for free. And you know what I got from educators, industry, and everybody else when I started doing this? You're crazy. You're going to get sued. You're sharing literature, you're going to get sued. I'm like, I'm sharing the links.
Right.
Now, what people do with the links, if they use a fake, Russian account to go and download the other paper for free, that you should never do that. But if you want to do that, that's your problem. I'm only sharing the link. But that's what I got at the beginning. It was like, oh, you're crazy. You shouldn't be sharing literature. Elsevier is going to sue you. I'm like, that's just the link, man. Like, I can't control it. The people figure out that there's a way to get it for free, And so that's a service that is out there, and I do that.
That's awesome. Where can people find you? What are you doing right now as we kind of close out?
I'm a practitioner. I'm in Boston 4 days a week. I'm a prosthodontist. I'm all over the world. We have pretty cool things coming out this year. The adhesive reconstruction and tooth preparation course is sold a year in advance. Usually I release one, and within 24 hours it goes away. There's like 500 people on the wait list. It's just out of this world. Dentally.com is where I put all my content. You can sign up for that course. I have a new course coming out on occlusion, dental materials, impression techniques, and provisionalization. My photography course, all those are live courses that you can sign up there. I'm going to be in many different cities through the year.
Awesome.
I also have online courses. I have a impression technique online course. I have a dental photography online course. I have 2 new courses I'm going to be releasing this year. But there is something really, really, really big happening in November 13 and 14. A big event that the Dental Academy will be releasing in New York City. Big names together: Chris Coachman, Justin McEnroe, Courtney Levine, myself. So
those are some big names.
That's awesome.
We're about to release something together, and we might have you there on a booth doing this as well.
That would be fun.
That could be cool. Well, this is getting to talk to you. We just resonate with what you're trying to do because the idea is we need to talk more after we finish, because the idea of what is our responsibility, as social media people, as podcasters, as people that have an audience of some type, is the responsibility, it starts to feel heavy, and it's a wonderful opportunity, and I love the fact that you're turning that into positivity. From years ago where I thought I would never see that really happen because there was so much negativity.
So much negativity.
And
turn it around. I can
it's good to hear.
And I love
it's good to hear, man. This is proof that it can happen.
And you can send me a message. I don't want to name any account here because then I forget some. And then you say, you need to name me. But there's about 10 or 15 accounts out there. We all know each other as people. Everybody's in Chicago right now. And I can pinpoint you to other 20 accounts that are doing amazingly at sharing knowledge, making our colleagues think a little bit different, understanding that we don't know it all, and if we learn something new from a colleague, we're going to share it with you.
Well, this is awesome. Dr. Miguel Ortiz.
Yeah,
Lit is the book.
Dentlit.com.
Yeah, dentlit.com. Lit is the book. Lit is the book. See it right there. Get the book because it's amazing. And then also follow him on Instagram.
Yeah.
You need a few more followers.
Needs a couple more followers.
Yeah,
He's hurting.
Followers. He's hurting really bad. He only has like 180,000 or something like that. But this is a great story.
This has been fun.
Like full circle, go from just what we've been talking about to really taking your influence and for the good now. You're
Yeah.
just helping so many people. So we really appreciate it.
Hold on,
And so this.
don't close it yet.
Oh,
Let-
what?
let's just do something first. So,
Oh, here we go.
Yeah.
So it's selfie time.
yeah, we
During
do
the
a little
live
video.
stream, little
But-
selfie action
Oh.
here. Oh,
Yeah.
video. Yeah.
we do a video.
Oh.
So you can close up. I'm gonna close here.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Okay. So live from the American Academy of Fixed Prosthodontics, we're going to continue going strong here. I think we got another interview coming up here just in
right.
a few minutes, John. And so for John, for Miguel, and I'm Wes, and we are the Dental Guys.
You should follow them. Dental Guys, right there. YouTube, podcast, and Instagram. See you guys.